I feel remiss at not having a cat cyborg voice to put on for this. But this is
always a cat cyborg voice.
I'll take it. I will take it.
Are you a cat cyborg? Then you have a cat cyborg voice, right?
Ooh, damn. I opened myself up to that one. All right. Lost Red Bear says, I know you all did an episode on asexuality a while back. Sorry if I'm like tilting. I can only see on one eye. I know you did an episode on asexuality a while back, and I was thrilled to see aces get some focus. But I couldn't help but wish Aegosexuality had been discussed as well. You may already be familiar with it, but just in case you're not, Aegosexuality is a subset of asexuality. The term essentially means anti-ego, as in disconnecting from yourself from the sexual things you enjoy. So here's a quick overview. Egosexuals are known to get aroused by sexual content at times, but not actually want to personally engage in those sexual activities. Masturbate, but feel neutral or repulsed by the idea of having sex with another person. Fantasize about sex with varying frequency, but envision people other than themselves and or view it in the third person as though they're watching it on TV rather than imagining the first person. Predominantly or entirely fantasizing about fictional characters or celebrities rather than people they know in real life, and identify as asexual, but feel little to no sexual attraction to people, but enjoy masturbating, are aroused by sexually explicit content, and or have sexual fantasies. So this writer says, as an ego myself, I really hope you can touch on this in a future episode if possible. I think it's important to raise awareness for it because so many people who would identify as it have no idea that it's a thing. This can lead to people feeling as though they either aren't entirely welcome or are imposters within the broader ace community, mistakenly thinking that they have porn addictions or generally just feeling like they're perverts or that there's something wrong with them. Oh, and the last thing, the ego prefix can obviously apply to romantic as well. For example, I very much enjoy romance as a concept in movies, literature, or for the people around me, despite not having much interest in it myself. Thanks for your consideration on this, and I love the show. So, what do you guys think about this one?
Well, the last thing that I want to do is like brush off our hands and say, well, done, we covered it. But I do really love that breakdown. And I hope that there are folks in the audience who are having that kind of light bulb moment of saying like, oh, maybe this is something I need to investigate. And I'll make sure that there are some links and references in the show notes to this episode for anybody who's starting to maybe see themselves reflected in some of this. What about y'all?
Etymologically speaking, I hate the word. I know a bit about Latin because it is a dead language, and, well, I don't like this combination, but as a label, it seems fine. It's just the enjoyment of sex, a sexual libido or interest that has nothing to do specifically with oneself. I've not encountered this in living people, so I have little to say about it, but I hope that you will enjoy your labels while you can.
One of my very best friends from undergrad identifies as ego. And I know Z was extremely excited at discovering this label because it was also that moment of being like, oh, I'm not crazy. This is a label. This is something people are, and this is something I can apply to myself. And that's so useful. I also feel very much empathy for this position and people in this position just because it feels very much like non-binariness and the bi-pan spectrum, where it's somewhere in the middle, kind of in popular culture. It's like, it's not quite one thing, it's not quite another thing. There's some flexibility there. And so a lot of people tend to discount it as a phase or as pretending or as, you're not really this thing. And so it can be really rough to be in a position where you want to find that community and there's a purity test of some kind that you have to pass before you can get in and be accepted. So I think It's a totally valid identity. If that's what describes you and that's what works for you, go for it. And having that label out there hopefully will help other people to find you and find each other.
Yeah, and I want to point out that the writer highlights the fact that this is part of the ace community. And while that's what we're talking about Aegosexual, I hope that it encourages some people to recognize that that form of dissociation, that sort of out-of-body sexuality, is also a phenomenon. You know, that there is a reasonable experience of enjoying sex without necessarily seeing your own ego as part of it, whether that's your entire sexuality or if that's just a piece of it. There's a lot of fun things to explore that I want to make sure to remind people of.